What up, y'all? This is Jamba. Hope I said that in my last video. Hope I didn't say my real name. Yeah, most of y'all probably know it by now. This is We Waffles Part Two. Why is getting a girlfriend so hard as an average guy? Um, watch his video if you want. If you don't want this stupid reaction, or you could just watch it with me. You know. This is Part Two, y'all. Let's good. Let's do it.
What all this means is, in terms of who's available, very few women are now left that are actually serious and looking for a relationship. Because the ones that are looking for a relationship, more often than not, are already taken. And as
That's what I always tell guys. I always tell dudes. I'm like. Or women. It's like there's a lot of good women out there, um, but if the women who want to be in a relationship, they would just be in a relationship. It like they could just be in one. If a guy wanted to be in a relationship, if you're an average guy, you want to be in a relationship, you can't just get into one like that, right? You might have to get a job, not just a job, but a good job. So if you take an average guy and he's working at Target, it's going to be harder for him to get into a relationship than if he worked for a Fortune 500 company. So he could be at Target, going to school for such and such, so he can get his degree, so that he can get a good job, so that he can compete, right? But the woman who works at Target versus a woman who works at the 500 company, they can both easily get a boyfriend. Like there's no difference. So y- fellas, it's like mind you, I'm not saying that just because a woman is single, she's not a good woman, or not she doesn't want to be in a relationship necessarily, but more often than not she doesn't, because that woman has plenty of dudes who are willing to date her and get to that level, right? So
as for the ones that are single, they often end up as a plate for a chat,
yeah. Yeah.
like a situationship, as many now say. Or what I think is becoming increasingly more common is most of them are just choosing to stay single by choice. Here's another example. If I speak to a girl who already says she's single during the day, I always ask her a follow up question.
What's the
Are
follow?
you single because you want to be, or you just haven't found the right person yet? And you'd be surprised by how many women say they want to stay single.
Mm-hmm.
I think this highlights they either don't like men or they don't like me. It's either that, or what I've also found is very common is many women who claim to be wanting to meet someone, they want to put themselves out there, are often unaware that that isn't true and their actions prove so.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a
For
that's
example,
a big one.
one time,
That's a big one. It's like they can say, because sometimes it's like I use the comparison of like a person saying I'm hungry, right? If a person is saying I'm hungry and I really want to eat, but they're not willing to eat the food that I might have made this comparison here already, but so forgive me if you've for my two fans who watch all of my shit or watch some of it. But it's kind of like if you're saying that you're hungry, but you are not willing to eat the food that's in the pantry when you have plenty, and you only want like Maestros or something, like it's like you're not really hungry. If you were really hungry, then you would make yourself a sandwich in the back, right? So it's like these women are saying, they might say something, but in actuality, it's something else, and they're not even aware of it, right? So that's why it can get confusing for a man, because you might be hearing that a woman wants to be in a relationship, but she's been single for a while. So it's like, well, what's kind of, but the reality is that she doesn't necessarily really want to be in one unless it is a very, very specific type of guy, maybe. You know what I mean?
when I was on a mountain hike, and there was this girl who, by sheer coincidence, was from the same town I was, which was so unlikely because we were a 10-hour drive from where we both lived. We chatted normally for 15 minutes, and then I asked if she was single.
Mhm.
She responds, desperately so.
Ha!
She talks about how she hasn't met the right person, all her friends have boyfriends, and she's the only one left out.
Uh-oh.
I say I'm single too, and then we get deeper in the topic, and she
Oh.
says how life is so hard single. It's practically impossible to buy a house, only feasible if you have a partner or parents' money, and she is the only one of her friends who hasn't moved out of the family home. I console and agree that I'm on the same page as her.
I'm willing to bet you that he did not even get a fair chance with this woman. I'm not saying that the woman owes him a shot, but I mean, he's not a bad looking guy. He's actually a pretty good looking dude. He's a he's an intelligent guy. This guy, right? He's a little pasty face, but it is what it is. Um, and they're from the same town. right? And this guy got, I'm pretty sure he has better quote unquote game than your average guy, right? So, but I bet you that he didn't even get to, he didn't get a fair shot. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
But all the while, as we were chatting, she didn't ask me any questions
Anything.
about me, and it was obvious she
She didn't. I knew it because she doesn't give a fuck. Like she didn't see the irony of how she was talking about how desperately single she was and how she's in front of a guy, not just any guy, but a guy who's from her hometown, which should signal some sort of, I mean, y'all women, y'all believe in the universe and signs and shit like that and destiny and shit. So you would think that she would take this a little bit more seriously, but she didn't even. Let's continue. So let's rewind. Let's rewind. Let's rewind.
all her friends have boyfriends, and she's the only one left out.
None of this surprises
I
me.
say I'm single too, and then we get deeper in the topic, and she says how life is so hard single. It's practically impossible to buy a house, only feasible if you have a partner or parents' money, and she is the only one of her friends who hasn't moved out of the family home.
Yep.
I console and agree that I'm on the same page as her. But all the while, as we were chatting, she didn't ask me any questions about me, and it was obvious she didn't really want to get to know me.
Yep.
I felt I was being used as a venting tool.
Yeah. Yeah.
It seemed so strange how
Yeah. Look, bro. I've been on the last date that I went on. I think I talked about this before. Yeah. No, she didn't ask me about even. I mean, even me on a date. She didn't ask me really about shit. Really. It's weird, ladies, that like y- y'all would date guys and get bamboozled by guys like, oh, he turned out to be a narcissist, he turned out to be broke, he turned out to be this, he turned out to be a cheater, but but a lot of, and maybe it's just because the girl wasn't interested in me. Obviously the girl's not interested in him, but it's like, even in the instances where like you guys are talking to a guy, like it's like y'all don't even ask questions a lot of the time. Like it's like it's a very very weird thing, and it's not even like a human thing. Like even if I'm talking to, even if I'm talking to like a another guy, like, now I'm doing stand up more, so I'm in, trying to get to know people and get to know other comics and shit. And they ask you, "Hey, what's up? Blah 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 blah. What you do?" They act. It's like you're having a conversation back and forth. Ladies, a lot of times we'll have conversations with y'all, and it's like we're playing tennis, but there's no one playing tennis hitting the ball back. Like it's so weird, and maybe it's because guys don't check y'all on this because they are in, like, because we don't want to make it awkward or we don't want to. But like it's so strange and maybe we got to start doing that shit because it's not about like you being interested in me sexually to date or what, but it's just like on a, it's just a weird thing. Like it's like is that like a sign of narcissism? Like that's a sign of something, right? Let's rewind. Let's let this guy cook a little bit.
and it was obvious she didn't really want to get to know me. I felt I was being used as a venting tool.
Yeah,
It seemed so strange how there was this dichotomy of her talking about how she longed for a partner
irony.
and would love to meet someone,
Thank you.
whilst at the same time there was a guy right in front of her
Right.
who, by sheer chance, was from the same place,
Thank you.
was single too,
Yes.
has the same dating goals,
Wow.
and without blowing too much smoke, was well within her looks range,
Mm-hmm.
but she didn't have a care in the world in
Didn't
terms
even
of getting to know me.
didn't even cross her
I
mind.
think it was obvious how she felt was one of two things.
What's up?
Either she just wasn't into me,
Mm-hmm.
or she was in delusion with regard to how serious she actually is about finding a partner.
It's probably both.
Or it's both.
Yep.
I can't think of any other reasons. All too often, I see girls making comments about how they are desperately single, really want a boyfriend, are looking for a connection, but if you look at their actions and decision making, it is clear they
Clear.
aren't as serious as they seem.
Yep.
I want to be clear, I'm not saying any of this to be disrespectful or call anyone out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just providing my observations from my own life experience for why I believe them to be true.
Yep. 5 minute win.
Here's another story that shows when girls say one thing, it doesn't necessarily mean what you'd think it means.
No, it doesn't.
My friend was at a nightclub and already found a girl, but the girl had a friend who was upset, saying things like, I can't find a guy, I really want one, why aren't they interested in me? And then my friend, trying to help her, he said, okay, what about this group of five guys?
Uh-huh.
There's five right here.
Five.
Do
Five.
you want me to introduce you to one of them?
Five. So five dudes. Let me tell y'all something. If you presented most guys with five women, even if all 5 women, just using this as an example, were overweight, he would probably still pick one out of the 5 to just to entertain, right? That's 1 in 5. That's pretty good odds, right? I don't know, maybe. Let's continue.
And you know what she did? One by one, she looked at them and
Okay.
exclaimed,
Yeah.
I don't like any of them.
None. There you go.
My friend told me he looked at them too. And one by one, he realized that guy's an LTN, that guy's an LTN, that guy's an LTN, that guy's an LTN. And lastly, that one's a HTN, but he's short.
Oh, LTN. Okay. I was confused. LTN, because he's using these terminology. LTN, if my to my knowledge, is a low tier normie, meaning it's a guy who looks normal but like on the lower end of it, right? So he's a normal, like I don't know, maybe like Napoleon Dynamite or something like that. Like maybe a guy who was like you look normal, but I don't know, like you may be short, you don't have like a strong, jaw, maybe your hair's receding, something like that, right? And then one guy was a HTM, meaning a high tier normie, meaning that he's a guy who still looks normal, but on the upper end of it, right? But neither of these guys were quote unquote Chads or, NFL linebacker looking ass motherfuckers. So, okay.
This again shows that when many women complain about not being able to find someone,
Yeah.
it is often because they are choosing to reject the men that are available to them.
Yeah.
In other words, non chats.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's another example.
Yeah.
The screenshot you can see on the screen is a copy paste text I send to many girls if their replies slow up. So I leave no stone unturned and want to discover if they are looking for a relationship like me. The response I get is similar almost every time.
Hmm. Let's see. How are you? I just thought I send you a quick follow up. Let you know I did download Tinder with the intention of finding a meaningful, critical relationship, which is stupid because that's not where you go to find relationships. If this is not what you're looking for, let me know and I'll understand. But if you are on the same page as me, I think you'll look forward to getting to know each other better. And that's more than likely not going to work. Because if she's already declining the text message, then she's already moved on to the next dude, or she's already kind of like put you into the no fuck or no date category in her brain. Um, and she said, oh, I guess his name is Sam. She says, "Hey Sam, thanks for checking in. I am on the same page. I had a hectic so oh, okay, so she seems interested, but okay, let's see what he says.
They say they are also looking for a relationship,
But they're busy.
and then in the next message, when I say, Great, let's get to know each other, let's arrange for a date,
Oh, so
what's your schedule like?
yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
always fall off,
yeah,
which shows they aren't actually that
yeah,
serious.
yeah, yeah.
As I say, it's one of two things. Either they just don't like me,
Mhm.
or they want to stay single but don't realize when they say something different, it's not true. I'll repeat, I'm not saying any of this to call anyone out or be offensive. I'm just sharing observations from my own lived experience.
Right.
Ultimately, in my opinion, these experiences have made me think there are three stages of dating as a man. Stage one,
Well,
zero attraction,
yeah,
zero dates, single digit matches.
yeah,
In other words, you're completely out of the game.
yeah. You can't do anything. Um, so ladies, I would say about 45 to maybe closer to 59% of men are in that first category.
Stage two,
Oh, the ad! I gotta pause. Okay, unpause. Yeah, about 45% of men are in that category. Maybe at least 40, right? Um, I mean, he already kind of broke this down in this last video, like the three categories that women put us in. I've said the same thing. Um, but let's continue.
and this is where I know I reside.
Yeah, I'm.
Regular dates being monthly or weekly or above, decent matches, occasional attention at clubs and bars, but consistently led on and have your time wasted,
Yeah,
and girls flake out
yeah.
after seemingly showing interest initially.
Initially, yeah, yeah. It peters out. Yeah, I'm in that category too. I'm in that category, but I kind of stopped having to. I stopped kind of doing it as much because I realize it's dating. If you're in that middle tier, if you're that guy who women find attractive somewhat, but not quite enough, and it's like you're just another guy in the roster, and then you have a date, it doesn't it just it starts to become like I always compare it to, and I tell my dad this. I always compare it to like the fucking Wile E. Coyote. Like whenever you watch the Wile E. Coyote trying to chase the Roadrunner, he can do all the elaborate. You could take a girl here. You could do this. You can paint the tunnel, paint the wall into a tunnel, so the road runner runs into it, but it runs through the tunnel. Like you can use Acme Dynamite and get a jetpack, but it's like it's always the same result, and that's what it is like when you're a guy in that category, at least for the most part nowadays, right? And then obviously the third category is the
And stage three,
yeah,
constant attention,
yeah,
S tier signals galore,
yeah,
girls chasing you
yeah,
and scarcely wanting to flake after seeing you on a first date.
yeah.
In my opinion, the percentage of men in stage one is roughly 80%.
See, okay, so
That's
you're saying 80%. I was saying 40. I think fuck, he might be right. He might be right. I'll give him
a
that.
lot of guys out of the game.
He's saying 80%. Fuck. 60 to 70%. He might be right.
The percentage in stage two is 15 to 20%,
Yeah.
and the percentage in
And you're
stage
lucky. You're lucky the stage that quote unquote I'm in and he's in, you're lucky to be in that. So you're lucky just to get a chance to get your time wasted, technically. If he's saying that 80% of guys are in the first tier,
three is at most 5%.
yeah, it's like about
When
five.
girls say they want a relationship, what they often really mean is they only want that with a stage three man.
Yeah.
And you can tell that from the way they are giving these guys serious and meaningful attention. They are basically making it easy for him to show up, and all he needs to do is jump through the hoops.
Yeah.
I've experienced this myself before. In my last relationship, I got her number, sent the first text, arranged the first date, but after that, she arranged a second, and we take turns to come up with ideas of when we could see each other next.
Yeah, when a woman is interested, they're gonna meet you even probably more than halfway. They're gonna make it very very easy to come see you. They're gonna make they're gonna text you often. They're gonna make themselves available. You don't have to do a whole lot as a guy. That's why when this whole thing about applying pressure is fucking stupid because if you have to apply pressure as a man, then you're already taking the preemptive L, right?
And what we could do.
Yeah,
I was being treated as a stage three man.
yeah,
Anyway, that's enough BPs for today.
huh.
But if you've enjoyed and want to hear more of my
Yeah. He's gonna plug his channel. Great stuff. Wheat, like your stuff. Probably gonna react to more of your videos soon. Yeah, y'all like and subscribe, and I'll have more content for you.